Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place. Nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that.
Office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are.
The U.S. Press Secretary Karolina Leavitt has been causing a storm on and off the internet. And just like Donald himself, she is not taking any woke or senseless crap. Ever since Donald Trump appointed her, she has rolled up her sleeves and has hit the ground running, putting reporters to shame and unapologetically echoing the voice of the White House. Now, you definitely expect someone like Karolina to receive a lot of heat, especially with the woke community.
And leave it to the women of The View to completely discredit her. In one of their episodes, it was hinted that Karolina only got the job because of her look.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what...
Most people found this odd coming from a supposedly woke woman, and you can bet that a lot of people came for her for that rude statement. Since she thought it was okay to take subtle jabs, some were thrown her way.
Calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a sexist rating system, but it's such a...
The internet hasn't stopped laughing since. But if you're wondering what Leavitt thinks about all these, she spared no words in letting the world know just how she felt about the women of The View.
These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right.
Respect them enough to be offended by what they think of her. Not only did she call them out as completely out of touch with reality, she also called out their network, ABC, for allowing them to have a show on their platform.
But there are other members of The View that have a problem with Leavitt, and one of them is Whoopi Goldberg herself. It all started because Whoopi was triggered when Leavitt mentioned that there would be no place for wokeness in the Trump administration. Whoopi fired back like a mother.
The wokeness was put in place.
Whoopi went on to talk about how important wokeness has been, and even went as far as saying it is because of wokeness that Leavitt could even get a seat in the White House and serve as press secretary.
Not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't...
Almost like Whoopi expected a thank you note from the press secretary or something. She made it seem like, as a woke person, she has broken her back for Leavitt to be in the position she's in, and so deserves credit. As you might expect, she got a lot of heat for that, and was ridiculed for teaching the press secretary how to do her job, and being so silly and delusional. But this new press secretary has gotten the most heat from passive-aggressive reporters, who keep trying their best to back her up to a corner. But somehow, Leavitt always comes out on top. Take this interaction, for instance. This reporter was asking about a heated issue where a staff member of the Oval Office was fired from his job for going to the Oval Office and asking Donald Trump questions. Many wokies believe that didn't reflect goodwill or freedom of speech, and there was an outcry about it. This reporter bringing it up here clearly had...
Which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomat?
Contrary to how this reporter thought this would go, Leavitt's response was calculated, blunt, and incredibly direct.
To cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary, and nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's
certainly was a wake-up call for woke people. It can be argued that one of the issues with wokeness is how wokies believe they get to do anything they want and use so many strategies to get others to fall in line. Being a woke person means you're ruled by your emotions, and it can easily be forgotten that there is a rule of law that guides things. For a staff of the White House to walk into the Oval Office to ask the president a question, Leavitt argues that it is an abuse of privilege, and his firing is a reminder that all the members of press and staff of the White House, herself included, are accountable to the president and will show full respect. Leavitt was clear and unequivocal in her stance and quickly put the matter to bed, but this reporter wasn't done yet. The reporter went on to ask the press secretary why there is a misunderstanding between those in the White House and others when it comes to addressing the Gulf of Mexico. While others think that's what it's called, Donald Trump and members of his staff continually call it the Gulf of America. Now, this shouldn't necessarily be a big issue,
But again, there was clearly an agenda here. Still yet, despite all, Leavitt was able to rise to the occasion and clear the air as bluntly and directly as possible.
And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation.
Clear that the members of the press are so keen on being politically correct that they try to bend what things really are and make it what they want it to be. This is why Leavitt was clear that it is a fact that it's called the Gulf of America, and she doesn't understand why the media insist on calling it something else. But she was not done yet. She went on to emphasize all the people who agree.
The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server, and Apple has recognized that, Google has recognized that, pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America, and it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world.
Statement regarding the confirmation of Tulsi Gabbard. There was one Republican who voted against the nomination of Tulsi Gabbard. It was Senator Mitch McConnell. Similarly, how does the administration view Senator McConnell? Can he be a partner in the president's legislative agenda? Are you disappointed that he voted against not only Tulsi Gabbard, but also Pete Hegseth to be the defense secretary?
We're greatly disappointed in any Republican who chooses willfully to vote against the.
Might seem like just a name, but Leavitt was clear that it's important people get that right. I mean, it seems like just common sense. Because of the agenda the woke media seem to have against the Trump administration, it has become a trend to blame the administration
for almost everything wrong with the country, even down to the cost of eggs. But once again, leave it to Leavitt to handle business.
I'd like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies.
Be sure to let everyone know that the last administration is the cause of the inflation. And the Trump administration is trying to fix things and take them to where they were before and even better. So what do you think about Leavitt here? Is she the badass she claims to be? Or is there something else afoot here? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.